Welcome to I24 News Sports Daily Magazine with all the latest scores and stories from around the world. Tuesday evening, plenty of action ahead, and these are the headlines. Juan Mata is now officially a Manchester United player after being presented in Old Trafford following his €45 million move from Chelsea. A new medical breakthrough in Belgium may help players recover faster from ACL injuries, maybe providing hope for injured players ahead of the World Cup. If it's Oklahoma City and it's down the wire, you know who is going to win it. Kevin Durant with another explosive performance and one more W for OKC. And as the Winter Olympics approach, we take a look at ski jumping and an extraordinary champion coming from Japan, aiming for gold in Sochi. Hello again and thank you for joining us. We are live from the Jaffa Port. The Premier League was off during the weekend, leaving the stage for the FA Cup. Now the league is back for midweek action with some very interesting fixtures. One of them is the Merseyside derby, Liverpool hosting Everton at Anfield. The home manager Brendan Rodgers is looking forward for a very intense match.
These are games that are, in my experience of being here, they're real frantic games with real intensity, but they're full of quality as well. So, but we're at home. We love playing here, and with the great support that we have, we'll look to get a victory for sure.
Manchester United's season has been very disappointing so far, but the fans at Old Trafford were finally given some hope for optimism. Juan Mata completed his move from Chelsea for €45 million over the weekend and was presented as a Man United player. This is the biggest move in England for this January transfer period. It's not yet clear if the Spanish midfielder will play tonight against Cardiff. As far as he is concerned, he can't wait to start his career as a Red Devil.
I think the history of the club, the players that they have in the squad, they are top players, and I have to say that the welcome was unbelievable for me. Coming here by helicopter, the welcome from the manager, from the players, from the club, and even from the fans in social media has been unbelievable. So I'm really grateful, and the only thing I want to do is just play, because I'm looking forward to play, to try my best for the team, to help the team, and to give this confidence back.
Even if Mata doesn't play, tonight's game will surely be an emotional one, as it will mark the return of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to Old Trafford. The Norwegian ex-United player won 6 Premier League titles and 1 Champions League trophy with Manchester United, is now the Cardiff manager, and is delighted to be back to the Theatre of Dreams.
It's the best place to go and play football. So, of course, I'm really looking forward to it, and the players are really looking forward to it. Because when you're a young kid dreaming about playing at the top level, I'm sure these kids have dreamt about playing at Old Trafford. So for us, we'll just go out there and give it a go. Lots of energy and enthusiasm, and enjoy the enjoy the game.
In another interesting matchup tonight, leaders Arsenal will play away at Southampton. 2 more games tomorrow. Chelsea will host West Ham in Stamford Bridge for a London derby, and Tottenham will try to continue their impressive run as they host Manchester City. Now to Spain, where it's time for the second round of the quarterfinal in the Copa del Rey. Real Madrid will host Espanyol tonight after winning 1-0 in the first match in Barcelona. Tomorrow night, holders Atletico Madrid will face a difficult challenge as they travel to Bilbao with a 1-0 advantage from the first game at home. Also tomorrow at the Camp Nou, Barcelona will most probably qualify as they hold a 4-1 advantage from the first game in Levante. And the last game on Thursday, Racing Santander will host Real Sociedad. Now to someone we already thought was definitely out of the World Cup, but maybe there is some hope. Colombian striker Radamel Falcao, who tore his ACL last week in Monaco's Cup game, looked to be in high spirits after going through surgery in his injured knee. Falcao spoke to reporters after the surgery, and though his chances of playing in Brazil are not yet clear, he tries to find the positive sides to his situation.
I have already cried about what I needed to cry, but now my spirit is high, my conviction is high, I have a great disposition, and I am mentally prepared to do everything that's in my hands. I think it's a very difficult time, which I am trying to make the most out of it, to learn and to grow, not only as a sportsman, but also as a person, which I think will make me a stronger person in all areas of my life.
And if Falcao wants to find some room for optimism, maybe he can find it in the recent advances made in the treatment of ACL injuries. Advances that allow players to return to action quicker and in the same shape and form they were before the injury. Oriban with the details.
In the hospital of the University of Louvain, Belgium, a special research is conducted on recovery of patients with anterior cruciate ligament tears. Professor Johan Belmans and Dr. Steven Kleis, two Belgian knee experts, lead the research, while looking to understand why some patients continue to suffer after recovery from frequent pivot shifts where the knee gives way during exercise.
When somebody tears his ACL and he undergoes surgery, we know that there are 10 to 20% of patients who continue to have some form of instability. That is unlogical because we fixed what was broken.
ACL injuries are very common in sports and occur when someone changes direction or stops abruptly at high speed. Any kind of tear can cause knee instability and further injuries to other ligaments. According to researches, female athletes are more injury-prone than their male counterparts and are 3 times more likely to suffer ACL tears. Unfortunately, despite advanced surgical techniques, up to half of the injured athletes are not able to perform at the same level as before the rupture.
80% of people who are able to return to, for instance, soccer. But if you look into detail, almost 50% of the cases, sometimes 40% of the cases, are not able to return at their level they used to play, especially the high level.
Professor Mark Martens, who has operated on many top football players with ACL injuries, is skeptical about the recent findings. However, he credits the attention brought to the significant research.
We have today still a too high percentage of failures after ACL reconstruction. And one of the factors to be considered to understand the failures of our ACL reconstruction is certainly related to the fact that one forgot to stabilize the knee for pivoting.
One athlete who suffered this kind of injury is Chicago Bulls point guard Derrick Rose, who tore the ACL in his left knee in the 2012 NBA playoffs and missed the entire season afterwards for recovery. 2 football stars whose ACL injuries will have impact on their teams in the upcoming World Cup are England's Theo Walcott and Colombian superstar Radamel Falcao. While Walcott is definitely out for the tournament, Falcao hopes he will make it on time for Brazil. Although medical breakthroughs better the chances of recovery, one can hope that ACL injuries will be less frequent and sportsmen will be able to sustain longer careers.
Hopefully, that will be the answer. NBA now, in a giant game in Oklahoma as the Thunder were hosting the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta is third in the East and was not supposed to be real trouble for Oklahoma, with the best record in the West, but the Hawks had other plans as they led by 8 after 3 quarters, despite this effort by Cephalosha. Atlanta kept on going strong in the 4th. Mike Scott with a powerful jam, keeping the visitors from Georgia up front, but that was time for OKC to stage their comeback. A nice play between Derek Fisher and Serge Ibaka ends with a dunk, and it's now down to 4. And you know what happens when it's close and the clock is running down? Kevin Durant comes to action. This was his 11th consecutive game, scoring over 30 points, the longest streak since Tracy McGrady had 14 games more than 10 years ago. And as always, he was there in money time. But Atlanta had a star of their own, Paul Millsap, tying the game at 109 with 22 seconds to go. Everybody knew who will take the final shot. KD driving the lane, and with 3 defenders around, he does it. Nothing but net. He had 41 points. Oklahoma City winning again, this time 111 to 109. The Winter Olympics in Sochi are just over a week away, and the athletes are in the last stages of preparations. And if you may think that ski jumping champions would come from Scandinavia, Germany, or perhaps Canada, well, think again, as the strongest woman in the competition comes not from a Nordic country, but from Japan.
She may be small in stature, but in her field, she's a giant. Japanese ski jumper Sarah Takanashi is the woman to beat at the Sochi Olympics. The 17-year-old chalked up her 8th World Cup win of the season recently on home snow in Zhao, making light of difficult conditions.
This competition was really tough for me, mentally speaking, but I was really happy to see that so many people came to support me.
Women's ski jumping is making its debut at the Olympics. And as the Games approach, Takanashi's popularity in Japan is increasing day by day.
She's young, but she's a renowned international athlete. She's Japan's hope.
She's a real fighter. I am a fan. I came to see her here last year and the year before that.
There is no secret to get to such an international level. She has to train really hard. She is an admirable kid.
Once the Games start in February, another teenager, Sarah Hendrickson, is set to be the main rival for gold. The odds, though, are perhaps in Takanashi's favour. Hendrickson has missed the whole season until now due to injury, and the American will be making her competitive return in Russia.
I don't feel any pressure. I only feel excitement. I'm not scared at all.
Young, talented and with a strong team behind her, the future appears golden for Takanashi as she looks to become female ski jumping's first ever Olympic champion.
And joining us now in our studio is figure skater and Winter Olympic expert Wendy Rohde. Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
So we thought that ski jumping champions would come from, I don't know, Norway, Denmark, Canada, Germany, Japan, and this is not the only example of such a country providing us with champions.
That's correct. Ski jumping actually originated in Norway, but today we see athletes coming from Japan, South Korea, many Eastern European countries, even Kazakhstan.
And who are, for example, the names to look after? We've seen Sarah Takanashi in her story. Who else should we look for?
Well, definitely Sarah Takanashi is one of the bright stars for the women's event. And up against her, we have Sarah Hendrickson from the U.S. Both of these girls are teenagers, so for the first time ever...
Both mentioned in our story here.
First time ever, the gold medal might be going to a teenager. But for the men's event, we have Peter Prijec of Slovenia, as well as Gregor Slierenzauer. And it should be any men's game in this event.
No, very interesting. You mentioned the men's competition and the women's competition. Obviously, ski jumping is a very old member in the Olympic family. Has been in the men's exactly been a part of the Winter Olympics for years. For the women's, as surprising as it may sound, we are looking for the first Olympic competition.
Yes, for 90 years, Olympic officials barred women from competing in this event because they felt that maybe the female body was too fragile to withstand several jumps, and also they didn't think that there were enough competitors to consider it an internationally mature sport. But after a long debate in April of 2011, they decided that for the first time ever in the Sochi Olympics, they will include women's event in the ski jumping. So it's going to be a very interesting year for this.
And we've just seen Sarah Takanashi, her performance. Obviously a lot to look for. Now this is a very technical sport. Obviously, with the difference being in centimeters, millimeters, perhaps. How
and
important?
Flying through the air.
Flying through the air, exactly. So how important it is actually perfecting your technique both in the jump and while flying up in the air.
Okay, well, as far as technique goes, athletes used to, as they were in the jump, they used to keep their skis parallel. In fact, anything deviating from that would result in a loss of style.
They look like birds flying out there.
But now they do a V shape, which seems to be an improved aerodynamic position, allowing for farther distance. So let's hope they keep their Vs straight out there.
Now, how important it is and how hard it is actually perfecting that technique, because that's basically what it's all about. You do it right, you get those extra 2, 3, 5 centimeters, you get the gold.
Right, and doing it well on game day. Also, it's pressure is on, and you're flying down a slope and in the air. So it is quite difficult. But this year we will see some very strong athletes, and hopefully we will see a perfect V technique, and hopefully we see some new medalists on the podium this year.
Well, obviously, ski jumping is going to be very, very interesting to watch for in Sochi. Let's remember the Olympics start next Friday. Wendy Rohde, our Winter Olympics specialist, thank you very, very much for being with us.
Bye-bye.
Well, as we said, the Winter Olympics start next Friday, next week, and we'll finish today's show in Russia, where the Olympic torch reached the turbulent region of Dagestan. The region was all festive for the torch's arrival. Dancers dressed in traditional outfits performed a traditional dance called Lezginka. Dagestan has been recently plagued by bombings and shootings as part of a militant campaign to create an Islamist state there, but as we can see, the torch made its journey safely and will continue on its way to Sochi. Tomorrow, the torch will arrive to Grozny, the capital of Chechnya, also a region which has seen quite some trouble but has been quite recently, and the torch will arrive to the opening ceremony in Sochi on February the 7th. That's it for today. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget you can watch us anytime on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. See you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a beautiful day.